guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Olaitan and this is Dear Lilebi, where we talk about all things motherhood, fashion, lifestyle, and everything in between, especially as we navigate postpartum life together. So I wanted to start this series on the first 9 months of pregnancy and the first year postpartum. This is not going to be comprehensive. These videos will be relatively short. I just want to talk about my experience, and I think I watched so many of these videos, so it was really important to me that I found people that I could relate to, who had experiences that, I could relate to. Now, I was pregnant and I didn't know what my whole experience was going to be. But for example, I had a C-section. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos with women who had C-sections or who had planned C-sections, anticipated C-sections, and emergency C-sections. So I wanted to contribute to this body of work and share my own experience, and hopefully it will be relatable to some people. Maybe it'll be the same old, just other videos that you've watched as well. So before we jump into it, please make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Click the like button, leave a comment, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the rest of this series. If you like this video, please do share with other friends, mom friends, fashion friends that you think would like it as well. This is chapter 1, and this will be focusing on how do you know you're pregnant. So you think you're pregnant, congratulations. If you're not excited about being pregnant because you weren't trying, well, oops. But hopefully this will give you just another perspective on things to look out for. One of the things that you usually find in all of the books in sex ed, in high school, middle school, whenever you took sex ed class, from your doctor, from your general practitioner, from your OBGYN, one of the things you often hear is, if you've missed a period, you are pregnant. Well, that's not always true in my own experience. I am not a professional, by the way. I'm just sharing my experience. In my own experience, I actually had a period, or what seemed like a period, right about the week that I was expecting it. It might have been a day early or so, but it was right around the week that I was expecting it. And it was kind of more like a really light period. And so, I was thinking, okay. However, after that first day of really light period, there was nothing else. My period is usually about 5 days, sometimes up to 7, but the last 2 days are really, really light. I usually just wear the panty liner, so I never have to worry. And the good thing about it was that, even though I didn't miss a period entirely, because it was such an irregular period, I already had my ears up, my antennas were up, and I knew something must be up. The other thing that they tell you is often common is that you have an increased sex drive. And I think my husband can definitely attest to that. It was insane right around that kind of week, 2 weeks leading up to when we found out that we were pregnant. Another thing that they usually tell you is that you will have the urgency to urinate frequently. And I totally had that. I think there was a period of time for a couple of days we were on holiday. So I was living in Nigeria at the time with my spouse. And, I packed up all my stuff, moved out of the States, moved there with my spouse, and we were living in Abuja. And we had gone on vacation to another part of Nigeria, and it was insane. I think at that period of time, maybe it was about 3 days, I had to go to the bathroom. Even if it was a drop of pee, the urge was intense, and I had to go to the bathroom probably 4 or 5 times an hour. I kid you not, it was so intense. So that was another symptom that I had. Then another thing that you hear often is on Hollywood, Nollywood, Bollywood, just media in general, usually talks a lot about feeling extremely nauseous and you're going to vomit every second. Either the feeling is there and it's kind of right there in your throat and you're ready to throw up at any moment, or you actually are vomiting regularly. like they call it morning sickness. A lot of people throw up in the mornings, but it's really not morning sickness. It's really more of like a day sickness, any time of the day sickness. And so that's really common. You usually see that in the media, and people are rushing to the bathroom to throw up. And so my husband was really looking out for that, because that's what he's always known. So he was sure, well, if you're really pregnant, babe, you're going to be in the bathroom a lot. You're going to be throwing up. I'm going to be bringing a trash can by the bedside. And that did not happen at all. I never felt nauseous. I never threw up. My entire pregnancy, I never threw up. But the very beginning, kind of the 2-3 weeks leading up to when we tested, I never felt nauseous at all. My appetite hadn't changed. I was eating everything that I loved to eat. So I had a pretty healthy diet for the most part. I would try to have a salad a day. And then on maybe 2-3 times a week, I would have whatever else I wanted. So I love pizza. I would have pizza. Yes, in Nigeria, there's some fabulous spots. Don't sleep on Nigeria. I could recommend some amazing spots in Abuja and in Lagos. But anything we wanted, we'd have pasta, we'd have Nigerian food, we would have Lebanese food, we would have hamburgers, we would have other American foods, like whatever it is that we wanted, we would totally have it. And I was eating it and there were no issues. I would eat suya, that suya was something else. So for those of you that don't know, suya is like a barbecue dry rub beef. It's cut into small slices and they put it on a grill, and it's just the most delicious roasted meat. Delicious. My mouth could start watering right now. Anyhow, so I was eating all of the things all of the time. And then I started to have these interesting cravings. So I started to crave watermelon, which I don't love watermelon actually, but I started to crave watermelon, but I wanted it sour. So I would add lemon juice to the watermelon. If you hear a moaning or a whining in the background, that's my baby. Bear with him. And so I would have that watermelon craving. So that was a thing. And then sometimes I'd have this intense urge for other things. But I have cravings regularly, so it wasn't that abnormal for me. So that was another thing. Another thing that they usually tell you to look out for is bloating, lots of bloating. I did not experience any major bloating. I think I felt like the same. I was really active leading up to my pregnancy, so I was taking these really brisk walks around my estate for the couple of months leading up to it. And then we lived on a fifth floor, pretty much a fifth floor walk up. So that was another level of intensity. It's really hot in here, so give me a second and let me just dry off. I'll be right back. So another thing that we were doing also, I usually track my menstrual cycle and I track my ovulation period. And so at that time that we were considering getting pregnant, we actually bought a few ovulation trackers. I'll link some below if you're interested in my Amazon shop. And we use those just to see maybe 3 months leading up to this whole experience. We use the ovulation trackers just to see if my own mental estimation of my ovulation and just my understanding of my body and when I thought I was ovulating actually lined up with what the ovulation tracker was showing, and it did. And so we knew that, I was in an ovulation period when I started to experience just an idea. I just felt this inkling, sixth sense, whatever you want to call it. I'm a woman of the Christian faith, and so I really believed God had just given me a spirit's nudging that I was pregnant. And then to top it off, I ended up having a dream maybe about a week before we found out we were pregnant. I had this dream, and I'm not someone that gives any weight or credence to my dreams. They're usually out of whack and abnormal. I mean, like giant rats, like it's odd. So because that's usually the case, I just don't give any weight to my dreams. But this one was a perfectly normal dream, and it just seemed like So as someone who doesn't give a whole lot of weight to their dreams, the fact that I had this dream that just seemed like it was like God was whispering to me. And I usually talk in my sleep when I'm dreaming. So my husband woke me up, and then he usually will ask me, what am I dreaming about? I'll tell him, and then in the morning he'll tell me what I dreamt about, and we'll have a good chuckle. However, this morning, about a week or two before we found out we were pregnant, he told me, babe, you had a dream last night. You know what it was about? I'm like, what? And he said, you told me we're pregnant. God said we're pregnant. I said, really? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, let's see how, the days leading up to it are. And then after that one period blip, the following days I didn't have any bleeding. And so we were like, okay, let's get a test. Test showed up positive, and that's how we found out we were pregnant. So that's my story. Definitely stay tuned and keep following this series. If you want to know about things to expect in the first trimester, not everyone's things to expect, just my experience. And I think my focus on the first, second, third trimester videos will really be more about maybe questions that I asked, things that I researched, resources that were really helpful to me. These are kind of quick, short, dirty videos, just so that you feel like you have a friend that's going through this with you, because it's still quite fresh for me. I'm 7 months postpartum, so I remember most of these things. And I found that when I would talk to people in my social circle, they actually didn't recall a lot of these things, and I needed that level of detail from people that I knew that I could follow up with. So anyhow, that's it. That's my experience. There are a couple other videos that are really helpful. I'll link some below that I really love. And if you liked this, please like, comment, subscribe, share a little bit about your experience in the comment section down below, and share this with a friend, a mom friend, a fashion friend that you think would find it beneficial as well. It was really wonderful having you, and I'll see you later. Bye.